New York Attorney General indicted. We're going to talk about it. She made a statement earlier. Now, for those of you who don't know Letitia James. She's the one that has successfully litigated against Donald Trump in 2018, and they have been feuding since his first administration. Everything I share is for educational and phrase purposes only. Sorry, you guys. It's early in the morning. I'm going to get right to it. Hang on. Everything I share is fair use and for educational purposes. Chakra King, how are you always first? How are you? Good morning. I'm going to try to pay more attention to the comments today. But let me share this with you guys. Hang on. I got you.
Someone else who has been fearlessly fighting back on the state level. Please welcome New York State Attorney General Tish James.
Should actually go by Tish. I think that music is going to get me a copyright, but whatever. I'm coming. See, I'm not biased. I play whatever's happening in the news. So this is the Attorney General that went against Trump. And here's her statement from earlier.
I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I've got your back. Yeah. I love you more. So, good evening, everyone. It is so good to be here with all of you, standing with my very good friend, my little brother, and one of the boldest voices in the history of New York politics, Zohran Mamdani. We are here tonight because we are ready to turn the page on the cynical, broken politics of the past. We are ready to build a city that works for the people who actually make it run. Working people, the teachers, the nurses, the drivers, the home health aides, the firefighters, the police, not just for those at the top, but for working people who built this city from the ground up. And we are living through twin crises, a crisis of affordability and a crisis of wage stagnation. Rent is up, and yes, it is too damn high. Groceries cost more, and too many families are living from one paycheck to the next. And childcare is too expensive, and too many New Yorkers are leaving the city because of failed policies of this city and state.
Now, I'm watching this the first time with you guys, so I'm going to react. And I'm wondering if she's going to address the allegations, though. Okay? And not the things that happened during the Biden administration. We'll see.
And at the same time, we see powerful voices trying to silence truth and punish dissent. And yes, weaponize justice for political gain. We are witnessing the fraying of our democracy, the erosion of our system of government. This, my friends, is a defining moment in our history. Let us stand together to defend our rights, to protect every safeguard, every institution, every immigrant.
You guys, don't be mad at me during this stream, but I have to give some commentary. As I watch this, Donald Trump said, as she was going after him, that this lady was racist, but they say that blacks can't be racist. I'm just wondering, what do you guys think about that?
Every norm and every rule of law. You see, I know what it feels like to be attacked for just doing your job.
But didn't she attack Donald Trump for just doing his job? And I'm not being biased. I'm just asking questions.
But I also know what it feels like to overcome adversity. And so I stand on solid rock. And I will not bow. I will not break. I will not bend. I will not capitulate. I will not give in. I will not give up. You come for me, you gotta come to all of us. All of us. Every single one of us. We're all in this together. You see, I've learned to stand on the shoulders of my ancestors who came before me and weathered the storm. And despite being seared with scars, they survived. And if they can survive, so will we. So over the last few days, I've summoned their strength and their courage. And I will keep fighting for justice. I will keep fighting for New Yorkers. I will keep fighting the aggressive policies of Washington, D.C., and I will not stop.
She mentioned immigrants, so she's in support of immigrants, illegal immigrants? Is that what she's saying? I don't want to put words in her mouth. Because that means she supports the shutdown.
I won't give up and I won't give in. So we have no time to linger and focus on pettiness and revenge. We've got to press on, press forward, continue the journey, claim the victory. Triumph over fear and courage. Courage, my friend, is resistance to fear. And so I fear no man. I see the courage that is embodied in Zoran. That's why I am supporting him. Oh. He is a leader fighting for a better future for this city. And he, like me, knows what it's like to be attacked, to be called names, to be threatened, to be harassed. And each and every day he wakes up with this fire in his belly because he wants to build a better New York. He recognizes that justice is more than just a word, that justice must be made real, that there are people struggling each and every day in this city. And all you have to do is drive around in this city and see all of the lines in the food pantries, and all of those who are just trying to put their nickels together to make ends meet.
Now, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I give my commentary. I don't care what you are. But I'm going to say this. The Democratic Party tries to align themselves up so much with the poor as if they're poor, when a lot of them are banking on 7 figures, making 6 figures. They're not the same. But they want you to think that way.
He is a leader who recognizes the pain and the struggle of countless number of New Yorkers, those in public housing tonight that are dealing with the conditions in public housing, those who have to go to housing court tomorrow and face the possibility of being evicted, those who cannot find childcare, those who can't afford the groceries, those who can't afford all of the luxuries that most children get. Those low-income children struggle every day. I've seen it for far too long. And I am supporting someone, this young man, who believes in the same values that I believe in, who recognizes that he is of the people, and who recognizes that we've got to change the way that we do politics in this city. Someone who believes in his heart of hearts that there is a way to raise up all boats and to make sure that this is a city for all of us and not just the rich.
But you are rich.
So I'm with Zoran. So let's turn this page. Let's knock on those doors. Let's canvass and talk to our neighbors and tell them the good news. And let's lift up the spirits of those individuals who have been left behind, who don't believe in the sunshine of opportunity, who don't believe in access, who don't believe in politics. Let's convince them that we are about to elect the man who believes in their future.
That would be Donald Trump. He's elected.
Let's lift the spirits of those who feel hopeless and left out and ignored. Tell them that they are not alone, that we stand with them. Tell them that they are more powerful than they really know, and that their voices will be heard at the ballot box, and that he who endures shall conquer. We will shape a future that we can all deserve. Because now, yes, is our time. So, let's elect a man who believes in that future, a man who really believes in that future, a man who wakes up each and every day thinking how he can improve and build a future for all of us. He's a fighter for a better day, a man who believes in big dreams for all of us. If you believe in Zoran, and if you believe in, again, making sure that all of us will be okay, then right now I need all of you to make some noise. Let them hear you. Let them hear you. Let them hear you. I need you to roar for the next mayor of the city of New York.
We don't need to hear. We don't need her endorsement on who's next. I didn't hear her address the allegations, but she is innocent until proven guilty. Okay, you can't take that away from her. She's innocent until proven guilty. We have to. Everything I share is for fair use purposes. Fair use, okay?
All right, very, very interesting story here in New York. Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted for mortgage fraud. We're watching the story very carefully. We will update you as more details come in. I can't think of two people better to talk about this than Miranda Devine, ace New York Post columnist, Fox News contributor, and Caroline Downey, National Review columnist. Ladies, first of all, welcome. What a shocker! What a shock! This is the gal who went after.
Hang on, you guys. Before I get into that, for those of you who don't know who Letitia James is, this has been going on since they've been feuding since 2018. Let me read this to you. James made Trump and his policies the forefront of her 2018 campaign for the Attorney General seat. These are her words right here. I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president, she said, after winning the Democratic primary that year for the Attorney General. And after winning the election, James told her supporters that as Attorney General, she would be shining a bright light into every dark corner of Trump real estate dealings and every dealing demanding truthfulness at every turn. So shouldn't Donald Trump demand truthfulness at every turn?
Donald Trump, for not exactly dotting I's and crossing T's in some business records paper that should never have done anything except she was coached by the Biden White House and weaponized by the Biden White House. Go after Mr. Trump, take all the money and business away. Lo and behold, we have mortgage fraud, primary residence in Virginia Beach, if I'm not mistaken, even though she's the Attorney General of New York, which is an Albany or New York City thing. There's also, she's also being investigated, but it's a grand jury indictment. She's being investigated for also calling Brooklyn, New York. I guess it's an apartment house, small apartment house she bought, that she also called that primary residence, and made some other very egregious mistakes, all of which to get lower interest rates. So, Miranda, you know, there is a God. Let's start there.
I have been wanting to say this for a long time. No one is above the law.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's right.
Who said that? Letitia James said that over and over and over. And it's the same thing with the Democrats. They're always projecting. And so she's, fooled around and found out. And I mean, look, it's just an indictment. I guess she's still innocent. Yeah, but this is to
allegation.
Innocent or proven guilty.
It comes from Bill Pulte's very good work in looking at mortgage fraud, which people have gone to jail for. I mean, Letitia James herself faces $1 million in fines, 30 years in jail. Bill Pulte, Ed Martin went to the brownstone in Brooklyn and had a look at it, and you could see there were 5 apartment buildings there because there were 5 buzzers. Letitia James has said that her father...
They're explaining the charges that she didn't address during her speech earlier, if you don't know.
That was her husband for the purpose of, misstating, allegedly, her information on these mortgage forms. So
she's never been married.
She got a lower rate of loan than she would have if she'd done everything above the board, and the rest of us have to do it above the board. So it's, I think, a good thing to indict someone who's high profile like this.
To be fair, do you guys think it's worthy of 30 years, though? I'm just saying.
Because it sends a message to the rest of the country. Be honest. It doesn't matter if everybody does it.
She is married? I thought she was never married.
Has been the sort of defense of her.
Mr. Trump offered her a deal. So if you vacate your office, I'll drop the charges.
That would be a blessing. If she would.
That's an interesting point. I mean,
can he do
that?
I don't think
John,
so.
I think you need to fact check that. I don't think she's married.
Again, he's the president.
But I'm willing to entertain the dream that we somehow would not have Letitia James in that office. But, it's an extra slap in the face.
Can somebody fact check that? I don't think she's married. I think she lied saying that was her dad. I don't think she's ever been married unless she recently got married since the last I searched. Okay.
Miranda said, to all those hardworking Americans that are struggling with high mortgage rates, we don't get to benefit from.
She's married to a white guy.
Our primary residences, in a more favorable place. And I think that she allegedly misregistered them is very sad, and it's definitely it's not helpful.
Her entire campaign, when she ran for Attorney General, was against Trump. She ran against Trump. She had nothing to do with the law, her policies, her principles, nothing. Okay. And as Miranda reminded us, she kept saying, no one's above the law, no one's above the law. And she found this.
I think you're mistaken. It says she's not married and she's never been married. Don't interrupt my commentary. I'm going to keep going.
Cockamamie case, which every single legal mind I know of, I mean, who's not a paid member of the Democratic National Committee or the Biden White House, every single legal mind said it was the stupidest thing they ever saw. Okay, and an appeals court has already thrown out part of it, but not all of it. But it is interesting. My point here is the day when you can run against Trump, and that's your campaign, and I think New Jersey may prove this too. I think those days are coming to an end. That's what I think. And I think, okay, you wrote about Antifa and the Democrats in the cities. And we were talking to Senator Eric Schmidt about this. The most popular or the most popular increase in polling is Kristi Noem in DHS. Why? Because she's backing up the ICE agents in the cities against these blue state governors and mayors who want no law and order and are in favor of the illegal immigrants and the criminals. She's a popular. Kristi Noem is very popular. DHS is very popular. Running against Trump, I think, as your exclusive only idea in a campaign, I think that's wearing pretty thin.
And I think Trump was right to declare war on Antifa. I think this is a great campaign because Antifa, starting with the Summer of Love, and the media has been one of the most complicit, partners in all of this by refusing to cover left-wing violence, pretending it doesn't exist. And now Antifa has been reborn because, as Miranda wrote so aptly in her piece, now that Trump's in power, they're taking this as an opportunity to wreak havoc again. And they are effectively using blackmail. They're saying, okay, well, since you refuse, Trump, to import millions of illegal unvetted aliens, and actually you're deporting those who are here illegally, we're going to destroy your cities. That is the blackmail that they're using, and we have to nip this in the bud. And I'm glad that Trump called all this.
Where's this lead? Miranda, your column today was terrific. Where's this lead?
Well, it looks as if Pritzker, particularly Governor Pritzker from Illinois, who is setting himself up as a presidential candidate, I mean, it seems completely unlikely. He's such a repellent person. But I think for the Democrats, it's who. I was being polite.
I'm sorry.
There were a lot of other adjectives I could have used.
I couldn't keep a straight face. Please continue.
I see you guys' comments. Antifa is a terrorist group. That's not something to argue about. And Donald Trump fearlessly went after them and labeled them as such. Okay, there's nothing to argue about.
You have to admit it. It's true. But he and all the other Democrats, whether it's Newsom or Andy Beshear, all of these 2028 hopefuls, all they have in their minds is to be mean about Trump, is to oppose Trump. That's it. They don't have good policies, have nothing positive for their citizens. And I kind of think that's wearing thin, particularly as, if the economy starts grooving again before the midterms. And, even I've been reading the broadsheet, normally negative anti-Trump newspapers today. And because of Israel and the Gaza compromise, they seem to be being positive about him, semi-positive.
You have to blink your eyes and look at the bylines and said, really?
I know.
She said what?
There's nothing snarky. I'm scouring for snark.
That's terrific stuff. Miranda Devine, Caroline Downey will have a lot more on mortgage fraud as life goes.
I see your comment, Quan, but they couldn't have indicted her if they didn't find anything. So I'm not really sure. God, I hate to, because y'all keep saying I'm biased with Fox, okay? Everything I share is for educational.
Legal breaking news.
Educational.
Yeah, just learned that New York Attorney General Letitia James, who obviously brought the charges and won against President Donald Trump, has just been indicted by the Department of Justice.
This is old. You guys heard this.
Trump wanted to be brought. It's a mortgage fraud case, and it's also what led to the leaving of the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. Eric Siebert would not bring these charges. We heard that he had reservations about bringing these charges, and instead he left that position, and President Trump handpicked Lindsey Halligan to serve as the U.S. attorney in that district. We saw Lindsay Halligan bring the case against James Comey, the former FBI director, to a grand jury. They also indicted. Now she has brought the case earlier today to a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia against Letitia James. We don't have all the details of how many counts or which counts she might have been indicted on, but we have learned that the grand jury did vote to indict Letitia James as well. Again, this is yet another time, another person that President Trump has spoken about both publicly and privately who believed should be.
Now isn't CNN left-wing media? So what are you guys talking about?
To a court of law, even though there were several attorneys who did not believe this mortgage fraud case was strong enough. Halligan, who is a Trump loyalist, ended up bringing the case herself, which is, of course, as we know, part of the reason that President Trump appointed her to this position. And the grand jury did indict Letitia James earlier today.
All right, this, of course, comes on the heels of the indictment and eventual arraignment of Jim Comey. Kristen, do stay with us. We're going to keep digging into this with our panel here in a moment. But I'd actually like to go back to Senator Slotkin from Michigan. And Senator, I realize you're learning the news of this right along with us. But of course, this is a part of a bigger story of what's gone on in this second Trump administration. So what is your immediate reaction to this news that Letitia James has been indicted by a grand jury?
Yeah, well, obviously I haven't seen any of it. I'm just hearing it for the first time, but it just is part of a bigger trend of the President of the United States using the Department of Justice, using the legal system to go after political adversaries, using the arms of our democracy to go after political adversaries, whether it's Comey or now James, Lisa Cook on the Fed, Adam Schiff here in the Senate. And if that doesn't send a shiver down the spine of anybody, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, because turnabout, I mean, another administration could be in and suddenly the arms of the government are being wielded against the Republican Party. It's just a broken way to do politics. It's corrupt. And I think that, anyone who cares about the Constitution and cares about our institutions surviving should care that the President of the United States is using Pam Bondi to do his bidding against adversaries.
Senator, this, of course, if it's related to this mortgage fraud question, which Kristen mentioned, would mean that some information that the government's in possession of, a Trump appointee over the Federal Housing Administration, is using that information to move forward with this. And obviously, you mentioned Lisa Cook. It's a similar issue in that particular case. What does using the government to do this mean, in your view?
Again, it is something that, I don't know if it's unprecedented in the history of our country, but I think most Americans understand that we have three branches of government. They're co-equal. And as our founding fathers set up, you shouldn't be able to sit in the White House and use the courts to get back at your enemies. And Democrats and Republicans, I've worked for them both in the White House, right? I worked for Obama, I worked for Bush, two different parties. But the idea that you would tell your, attorney general, I want to go after these people, just make a case against people I don't like because they annoyed me, they piss me off, they're from New York, so I pay a lot of attention to them.
I find it interesting that Letitia said that no one is above the law as she was going against Donald Trump, and here we are today.
That to me is a dangerous precedent to set. And again, even if you are not a Democrat and you're a big supporter of President Trump, which a lot of people in my state are, I think people are smarter and they understand that if this is the new trend, what's going to happen when a Democrat's in power? What's going to happen against the people I care about? So it's a really, really dangerous, slippery slope.
Can I ask you what you're hearing from, when you go back to Michigan? I'm from Michigan originally. I'm sure there were voters there who voted for Donald Trump. They heard what he said on the campaign trail about retribution. Do you hear them telling you when you go home that they're on board with the way he's going about this? Is it registering with them at all? Or is there a level of concern, as you sort of allude to?
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, she sued Donald Trump and his 3 adult children. And I wonder if they had the same questions then.
Yeah, I think it depends who you talk to. I will tell you the biggest thing that I hear from people is like, look, I voted for Donald Trump because he was going to put more money in my pocket and my costs have gone up and not down. That is for sure the prevailing theory. And, I had a guy, I was pumping gas, and a couple of Trump supporters next to me, they had the Trump sticker on their car. They pulled up. They were pumping gas. We were being very friendly. They recognized my face, and they said, I don't agree with the Democrats on this and on that, and and they were clearly still very supportive of Donald Trump. And then they came back around after pumping gas, and he's like, yeah, but I didn't vote for this yo-yo crap on tariffs. I didn't vote for my prices to go up. So I think that's a sentiment that's certainly growing. But on the issues of democracy, there are certainly people, who, when they're being intellectually honest, say, it's not good for the country, these retributions, or I don't like the look of these raids that are going on in American cities, these ICE raids with people who are masked.
Hang on, do you guys know that they're talking about everything except if she's guilty of these charges? Did y'all notice that?
That doesn't look like the America that I love and I know. But I'll tell you that costs are still by far the thing that people are paying attention to, because it's in your pocket, your kids, your life, more than anything that goes on in breaking news on the TV.
Fair enough, and it's always very interesting. I really appreciate you giving us a window into that, because it's not always easy to see it from here in Washington as it is when you all get to go back home. To circle back to what we're talking about here with Letitia James, I take your point about the three branches of government. Republicans that I talk to will point to Letitia James and how she went about doing things as perhaps slightly different than the Federal Department of Justice. She's obviously elected, right? It's a different system, and she did talk about going after Donald Trump in a way that a lot of Republicans felt was kind of a blanket way, essentially saying, I will look for anything I can find on him. You're someone who thinks a lot about the country in a way that's not always the partisanship that we are used to here in DC. Do you see anything problematic with the way Letitia James conducted herself that could potentially have caused Republicans to have the level of mistrust in the system that they clearly had?
I can't speak to the individual cases and the things that she particularly brought up. I'm not well educated on the actual legal documents. But I will say we have a legal standard for things, right? You shouldn't just be able to say, well, I don't like Jim, so I'm going to launch an investigation and I'm going to go prosecute against Jim. There's a legal standard that you have to prove in our courts before someone can be, put through the system. And I think those standards should apply whether you are a Democrat or Republican, whether you're in New York or DC or Michigan or Kansas. And that to me is the only.
But didn't she go after Trump? And these are just questions to interfere with his chances of winning the election, and they come up with all these charges. I'm just asking. I mean, wasn't there a lot going on in 2018, led by Miss Letitia? I'm just asking.
Thing that keeps our system surviving. It can't be about personalities. It has to be about a legal standard that we all have to meet. So the proof should be in the pudding. If there's things that have been launched against Donald Trump and they're thin and there's nothing there and they're more political than they are factual, well then it shouldn't survive the gauntlet of getting into our system. Same thing for Donald Trump and his attorney general. If there's no there, and some of the cases that we've started to see against the political enemies of Donald Trump, they are thin as hell. So that to me, I'm not a lawyer, but there should be a legal standard, and whether you're Democrat or Republican, you got to meet that standard.
All right, Senator Alyssa Slotkin, I really appreciate your time. I do hope you'll come back and we can talk about healthcare and the government shutdown if that's still winding around next week. I know that's what we had originally set out to do, but I appreciate your rolling with the breaking news. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, our panel is back, and we're joined by Elliot Williams, our attorney in residence.
I don't know how much I can listen to CNN, but I'm trying. I'm trying, y'all.
Here.
I don't know.
But of course, we saw what happened with Jim Comey. Now we're learning a grand jury has indicted Letitia James in federal court. What say you?
Yeah, I think if someone broke the law, knowingly committed mortgage fraud or whatever else, they ought to be investigated, prosecuted, and go to jail for it. That's a basic fact of our system. I think the president's own statements have undermined the seriousness of any prosecution here. And quite frankly, not unlike the Jim Comey case, if she is to go ahead and, if she's charged with a crime, moves to have it dismissed for selective prosecution or malicious prosecution, she can actually point to Jim Comey's case and say, now look, there is a pattern of the Justice Department indicting opponents of the president by the president's own statements that suggest that, it's really my case, but we collectively would not have been singled out and prosecuted but for the president's own statements. So, if this case doesn't succeed, the president really has no one to blame but himself for going on the record as much as he has in the way that he has by specifically saying, I want these people targeted and I want them to go to jail.
Mercy. Okay, y'all. That was
Thank you very much, Mr.
That was hard. That was hard. Can we get back to Fox News? This is why I'm really careful with what I listen to, because the only one that's really addressed the allegations, I played it. Okay. Let me see. Okay, you guys, let's end on a good note. Everything I share is for educational purposes. Did I do this one for you guys? Let's get back on track.
FBI Director James Comey has pleaded not guilty to charges of lying to Congress and will now seek to dismiss the case as vindictive. Meanwhile, New York Attorney General Letitia James, who knows something about vindictive prosecutions, is now facing charges related to mortgage fraud. And while many on the left were quick to attack the case as politically motivated, CNN's Anderson Cooper called her out for her past campaign promises to go after Trump. Watch this.
According to PolitiFact, the day after she was elected in 2018, Letitia James was asked by a community activist if she was going to sue President Trump, and she replied, quote, "Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally." I mean, that's not a great look for somebody who has just been elected or just been campaigning, who hasn't even looked,
those were her words,
I guess, at deeply at any evidence.
Here with reaction, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker. Thank you both for joining us. So, Greg, it's interesting. The American voter absolutely destroyed Letitia James, and because they recognized what a completely partisan persecution her attempt to go after Trump was, and they obliterated her by re-electing Donald Trump president. And now she's going to cry and claim that she's being persecuted?
Yeah. Think about what she did. She went on the campaign trail and said, if you elect me, I will abuse my office to get Trump. And then she went about doing it. And now she has the audacity to claim, I'm a victim of weaponization of the law by Trump. These people have no ability at self-reflection. Look, when you tell a bank that your home is primary or secondary to get a lower mortgage rate, and you're actually renting it out, that's fraud. You're lying to the lender. You're deceiving the lender about the financial risk. And here the documents, Charlie, incriminate James. She can hardly claim, it was miscommunication, because she's on record saying that's not an excuse. But worse, last year, she issues this public statement declaring that everyday Americans cannot lie to a bank to get a mortgage. Powerful people cannot cheat to get better loans. Well, looks like she did.
Yeah. Nicole, you've devoted your life to prosecuting, enforcing the law as an FBI agent and following all of the rules when you are going after a criminal. And it's kind of interesting to step back and remember everything that the FBI did under James Comey and then also Letitia James in in New York. It's kind of amazing to look at all of the corners that they cut in both of those cases in order to go after one man. Have you ever seen anything like that?
Charlie, I had never seen anything like that before, and I actually just authored a book. It's called The Two FBIs, and I talk about how it was so blatant what I was seeing. I mean, I was living it firsthand. It's one thing to see news reports, but to actually walk into the FBI and to listen to what was happening on a day-to-day basis. They treated President Trump like he was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. I had never seen anything like it.
And then we saw as soon as he announced that he was running for president, they slapped him with like 91 charges nationwide. I mean, it's absolutely despicable and disgusting. But what I saw happening, you know, you got Letitia James here. She was unabashedly gloating and finding pleasure in going after President Trump. And what I find really disturbing is that these individuals, now that there is equal enforcement of the law, they call it political retribution. That's not political retribution. And all of a sudden they're crying foul play on DOJ. Where have you been the last 10 years that I had to work under the FBI starting around 2015 when you were just going after one side of the political spectrum? Anyone that knows anything, we could see it for exactly what it was. And now they're sitting here again, like Greg was saying, acting like they're victims. No, actually what you have is you have an AG and you have an FBI director. You know, you've got Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and they believe in enforcing laws fairly and equally, and they are not accustomed to that. Letitia James and James Comey, they are not accustomed to that. They are the ones committing the crimes that they're actually out there accusing everyone else of, and now justice must be served.
You know, Greg, I bet you get the same questions that I get very often from people, which is, will anyone pay a price for any of this?
Yeah, I think they could. And let me speak to James Comey, because I have a column tomorrow morning on foxnews.com on Comey. You know, look, when he was preening like a peacock in front of a camera saying, let's have a trial, that was just another pretense, a lie by phony Comey. It was a con job. The last thing he wants is a trial, which is why his lawyers this week said, we're going to file motions to dismiss the case, claiming, you know, vindictive prosecution, selective prosecution, retribution by Trump. Comey's strategy, make no mistake, is to put Donald Trump on trial to avoid his own trial. He doesn't want to be put on trial. But typically that's an uphill battle because under law you have to prove by clear evidence that the charges have an unjustified motive. If they're justified, it's not a defense. And of course, the argument that Trump is the terrible villain and poor Jimmy is the innocent victim, that's worthy of a Shakespearean farce, given Comey's long list of lawless schemes, deceptions, and abuses of power, Charlie.
Real quickly, Nicole, are you hopeful that anybody will pay a price for this?
I am hopeful because I think that's what Americans want. That's what we deserve. And I can tell you that FBI agents, current and former, there is nothing more that they want to see than equal enforcement of the law. If I did the same thing that James Comey did, I would be in jail. No questions asked.
It's pretty simple, actually. Nicole, Greg, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Okay. So we have that going on. Can't blame that on the Republicans, okay? You can't do it. We still have what happened. The 20 hostages released in Israel, so that's a good thing. Let me read some of y'all comments while I'm here. Chloe, this whole thing is a first. That Shakespeare rest in peace. Okay, I hear you. So there's some good things happening. Donald Trump being, you know, get nominated for the Medal of Honor by the Israeli government. I think is a big deal. He's doing a lot there, so that's something that's on a good note. The lady is shady. There's a lot. How you doing, Mr. Oh, you said hi, Diddy. Okay. So also, the Republicans will never be charged. Okay, y'all talking to yourself. Feel free to double tap the screen, hit the subscribe button. It's hard to talk about stuff like this because, you know, if you're a Republican and you have traditional values and you speak out against the left-wing media, nothing wrong with being a leftist, okay? All of you are welcome. But we get called a lot of names. That's not nice. That's all I'm going to say there. Trump went over there to, what? Donald Trump, well done. Right, Kiza. Right. Good things happening. The government is shut down. I just said it in Israel. I said in Israel. The government is shut down. We need 5 Democrats and the shutdown could end. Okay, how you doing, Vicus? How are you? So there's a lot. You have the most corrupt government in the world. Okay, let me get out of the chat. Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, right? And it can't just be freedom of speech for the left. It has to be for the right as well. All right. We're entitled to speak. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, who is unalive today for his right to free speech, right? We also had the trial with Luigi Mangione that some people are calling a hero, as he unalived the CEO of was it United Healthcare? We have a lot that's going on. So, all right, you guys. God bless America. You guys be safe. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. I don't mean to cause division. I just, hey Jerome, I just mean to bring about awareness. How you doing, Nexie? I see you guys. I see you guys. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Big hugs. Bye-bye. Right. Prayers, SM. I see you guys. Allegedly. Devious. Allegedly. Alleged. Okay? But they're protesting it, saying free Luigi. It's got to be a trial. But it is alleged. All accusations are alleged. We're innocent until proven guilty. That's the American way. Bye-bye. Peace, Irby. You too, Calamitis. I see you guys. Prayers. Big hugs.